Hello my friends and welcome back to our blind let's play of the Somnium Files. I'm the FlightlessBird. This is your story-based gaming channel. And the bird has seen the light. Finally. It took me a while. I'll explain.
I took a look around your head.
So I was having a conversation with Ashenda Pymus. By the way, you should check out her channel. She's really cool. But she pointed out something to me that your bird didn't see. And I know you all in the comments have been trying to tell me this, but I don't always see things the way you do. I'm sorry, and sometimes I'm just not very smart. And I believe it was Entra who mentioned this before, but Mr. Joe Goodman commented on last video saying that the sync machine accesses the brain through the eye socket, and the one at Abyss uses nanotechnology to go around the eye, but the prototype does not. Therefore, you only have to remove the left eye in order to sync. You only swap bodies if the sync lasts too long. So me saying that the eye removed was a side effect of us transferring bodies? No. That's not how it works. How it works is, in the game, earlier, I don't know when, but I remember earlier in the game, it mentioned that removing your eye is actually easier than you think it is. So it's very easy to pop your eye out and pop your eye back in. So basically what's been happening is the person removes the eye of the victim in order to sync with them, order to transfer body, and then changes body switches and then kills the person. Here's the thing, this is a new theory that I have, and I was thinking about this. I was talking to Shenda and she would not tell me anything, but I have a new theory. If you track the murders started with Shoko, okay? Renju kills Shoko, but then Renju is killed by Iris, but then Iris is killed by So, but then So is killed by Boss. Which means if you track this all the way back, Boss is actually not Boss, but Renju. However, here's my new theory, because I said that theory in the last video. What if Renju was not the origin point to this story? What if Shoko transferred her body into Renju, and then Renju kills Shoko? So basically, if Renju isn't the origin point and Shoko is the origin point, that means Boss's body is actually inhabited by Shoko, and Shoko is still alive. Shoko is the one that's been murdering everyone. Now, then again, I can probably sit here and talk for the next 50 minutes about how this person is also the murderer and this person is also the murderer, and, you know, by the end of it, I would just accuse everyone of being a murderer. But I'm thinking more and more, the more I say this, that Shoko is still alive, and she's the one murdering people. That's what I think. Only one way to find out, though. Let's resume our gameplay. Yeah, enough theorizing. FlightlessBird, you spent like 4 minutes theorizing. I'm sorry. This game just is so good, and it makes me so happy. I want to talk about it. Let's go.
And I discovered something. Something about the new Cyclops serial killings. Apart from Ota, there are 4 victims. Shoko Nadami, Renju Okiura.
I really hope Date is not going to kill my theory in like 1 minute after I spent 3 minutes talking about it. But it's a good theory, you know? It could work.
Iris Sagan. And So Sejima. Who was responsible for these murders? Shoko was stabbed by Renju with an ice pick. Renju was strangled to death by Iris. So cut open Iris's body. But who shot So? It was you. In other words, all of these murders were committed by different people.
Do we know in this timeline how the body transfer thing works? I'm actually not sure.
There wasn't just one killer. That's how it looks on the surface, anyway. But
All the dots.
that's not the truth, is it? There's only one culprit, one person, and that person is...
I guess he does know. Who's the new Cyclops killer? A desk in the middle of the room. Man, are they really going to kill my theory that I just been talking about in literally the first minute of this video? That'd be a shame. Because I think it's a cool theory. I like it. It works. So, Iris, Renju, or you? Well, obviously it's going to say it's you, right? That person is. So let's say everyone except it's you. No, it isn't. It's not Iris. Oh, look, Shoko just appeared on it. No, that's not it. Nota was collateral damage. He can't be the culprit. Oh, that's kind of a harsh way to say that. It's not Pewter. It could be, but see, you see, he didn't kill my theory. Every single other one of those people, he said no, there's no way it could be them, but he said it could be Shoko. I'm telling you, I think I'm onto something here.
Yes, you. The person in front of me right now.
You're blaming the commander of Abyss for this?
No, not Boss. The person inside Boss's head.
Dum dum dum.
Can you at least try to make sense?
Alright, I'll explain. You know about the abandoned chemical plant in Kawasaki? There's a prototype sync machine there. You use that device to swap around bodies one by one.
Whoa.
In other words, the entire egg ends up being replaced.
Oh, that's the egg. Oh, my bad. I thought that was some sort of like alien face picture to represent, you know, the anonymity. But no, it's just the eggs again.
Mind, consciousness, memory, they are traded. Switched.
Why does that say unknown? All the dots.
I don't know where it started.
Why did that say unknown? We know it's Pewter who said it.
But at some point, you got into Shoko's brain. Then, you got into Renju's. And got rid of Shoko's body. After Renju was Iris.
So, another theory is that, and this is something that if you want to just extrapolate even further, if it's not Renju, it could be Shoko. If it's not Shoko, it could be someone that went into Shoko's body, as he just said. So therefore, it could be someone outside of the loop entirely. Someone like Sato Sejima? Although I still think Date is Sato. But I'm not too sure. It could have been Falco. Could have been Pewter.
You strangled Renju using Iris. After that, into So. Who you used to kill Iris and Ota at the cult storage warehouse.
All the dots. Then you blew So's brains out dots.
Now, you're in Boss's body, inside her head.
So who is the true persona inside Boss? All the dots. You're gonna talk. Tell me dots. Man, this is getting intense dots.
I see. If you know that much, then I have nothing left to hide.
No, I need to know who you really are.
Yes, I am the culprit behind the new Cyclops serial killings.
Cue ominous music.
I guess you can call me the new Cyclops killer.
Suspect. I like how it replaces Boss's name with a different name. It reminds me a lot of Disgaea 1 when you call mid-boss, or you call Veers mid-boss and his name changes to mid-boss. It's just a really cool touch. By the way, that's not the only thing that changed. Look at her eyes. They're much more slanted, much more devious. Her smile is the same way. And her hand. as well. She seems much more confident, controlled. Almost like, what are you gonna do next? Her eyes look clouded and dark. Who the heck are you? Give me the details of each crime. Who was inside Iris during the interrogation Sunday? Huh. Alright, think about that one. Well, left is always right, so let's start there.
Saito Sejima.
I just said it could be Saito, but we're probably Saito. I guess I was wrong. Huh. I didn't think she would tell me that easily. It's weird.
Congressman Sejima's son.
What?
I researched Saito thoroughly, but I cannot find any images of him on the internet. He is listed on the family register, but I cannot find any photographs.
Doesn't make sense. She's Saito. Something is still wrong. Like, I feel convinced that we're Saito. Or I could be wrong. That's sometimes the easiest answer is probably the right answer. I'm probably wrong. Give me the details of each crime.
Before I do, there's something I want to hear from you. How did you know about the prototype sync machine? And not only that, you also seem to know what the sync machine is truly capable of. Why is that?
That's...
All the dots. And once again, her name changed. Now it's Saito. All the dots.
Regaining your memories, are you?
Oh, the still confused dots. We still don't know what happened to us 6 years ago. And our left eye is missing, which means somewhere, somehow, we switched bodies with someone. We're not the original Date. But who are we?
Human memory is fractal. If you retain even a single piece of it, it's possible to recreate the whole thing. Pieces of memories are like roots that grow into every corner of the brain, gradually, slowly, taking its time.
Are you telling me I talk too much?
I imagine the same thing is happening in your brain right now.
All the dots.
A fractal is a figure with self-similarity. Allow me to explain. See this? Whichever fragment you cut, you will see a similar shape. The whole is made up of its similar parts.
The Koch curve and Sierpinski triangle. I've heard of the Sierpinski triangle, but not the Koch curve. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
This is called a fractal figure. Memories in the brain are similar. That is what he is explaining. He is claiming that from a few pieces, you can rebuild the memory.
I knew about the prototype from regaining my memory. Is that right? No, that's not it.
Parallel worlds exist.
That was Iris. This is weird. Who was inside Iris during the interrogation Sunday?
That was me.
You imitate her well. From the way you talked and your body language, it was like the real Iris. Earlier, too, you almost had me fooled. Your imitation of Boss was perfect.
How?
Yes, there's a reason for that. Let me define some terms first. A person's memory and sense of self. Let's call that personality.
Okay.
It isn't quite the right word, but it'll suffice. Now, transferring that personality into someone else's brain, let's call that parasitism.
Okay, because they're taking over the body. I understand.
The one transferring is the parasite. The one being transferred into is the host.
I follow.
Are you with me so far?
Uh-huh.
Moving on. Even after the personality exchange is complete, the host's memory isn't completely lost.
So basically the parasite can latch onto the memory and absorb it into its own consciousness?
About 1% remains in the brain.
But 1% is enough to rebuild the entire thing.
So, a parasite could use that 1% to imitate the language and behavior of the host. That's how I knew about the warehouse and Sunfish Pocket, by the way. Thanks to Renju and Iris's remaining memories.
Yeah, let's continue this dialogue.
I'm telling you, it was me.
Wow, her eyes are really bugging out right now.
Why are you making me repeat myself?
That means the Somnium I entered on Sunday.
But how?
That's right. It was me.
How? How does he know about the original Cyclops killer? Oh, that was that freaky Somnium. We were seeing, like, Iris watch all the murders. But it wasn't Iris, it was Saito. Saito was 12 when he killed... Yeah, that would make him... And something else was troubling me. All the dots. We saw ourselves. All the remembered dots. The blue figure with Date's face.
What's going on here?
Well, that was... So the murders happened. And then... Saito, who was us. Saito switched bodies with us. Let's continue.
Fine. I still have time.
If you look really closely, you can see the hamsters in the wheels trying to turn FlightlessBird's brain.
Time?
You'll see.
What was that? I still have time.
So, where do you want me to start?
At the beginning, of course. It's just past midnight on Tuesday. Shoko was killed on Friday. If we think of that as day 1, well then, today is day 5. What was Saito doing these days? I decided to ask him. Her eyes are clouded and dark. Let's just start at the beginning. Day 1, Friday.
Like you guessed, my personality was in Shoko, Renju's ex-wife. That made calling Renju easy.
And I still feel mad that it wasn't actually Shoko. But I think I was on the right track. I just thought that we were Saito. So I didn't... Yeah, I'll still give myself a pound in the back. Even though everyone's probably laughing at me like, you were so wrong! Yeah, maybe, but you know what? It's good. I'm happy.
I need to talk to you about something. He came over without question. I think it was around 4 p.m. I had him meet me at the chemical plant. I made Renju go to sleep. Synced. Switched personalities.
And then dumped the body.
Stabbed Shoko's discarded body with an ice pick.
Oh yeah, first you gotta kill her, then you gotta put the body. All the dots.
I took Shoko to Bloom Park by car, using the old abandoned subway line. Must have been around 8 p.m. by the time I was finished. I tied up Shoko to one of the merry-go-round horses. After that, I used Renju's phone to send a Nile message to Mizuki.
Mizuki, Daddy got caught up in something serious.
Then, I just waited for Mizuki to arrive.
Day 2, Saturday.
Until next Saturday evening, my personality was inside Renju. My next target was Iris. I knew she would be suspicious if I asked her to come to Kawasaki, so I asked her to come to Sunfish Pocket first.
You know what I really want to ask her? And it's something we haven't been able to ask, or him, whatever. Was something I really want to ask Saito, and it's something that we haven't had the chance to ask yet, is the same thing that we want to know from Sosajima back in that other ending. Which is, why? What's the motive? Why would you target Shoko and then Renju, and then you specifically say you want to target Iris? Why? What's the game plan here?
I called her a little before 5 p.m. and she arrived just after 6. I greeted her, then convinced her to come with me. That's when Ota saw us. Anyway, I put her in the car, then headed to the chemical plant. On the way, I made her take a sleeping pill. I knew she might run once she saw where we were going. It was around 7 p.m. when I got there, and I wasted no time switching bodies. After getting Iris's body, I used a rolled-up apron to strangle Renju to death. Then I put his body in an empty oil drum I'd prepared earlier. I put that in the trunk of the car, then headed to Sunfish Pocket.
Hence why the wait in the elevator was Iris's wait, because it really was Iris. Just not Iris. Huh.
But then, something I didn't anticipate happened. Waiting for the signal in Akiba, someone knocked on the window of the car. It was Ota. He asked me something about being able to drive. He was surprised, to say the least. I didn't have time to waste on him, but I couldn't risk him finding the oil drum in the trunk. Plus, if word got around that Renji's car was spotted driving around Akiba, that would foil my plans. So, I came up with a lie. I told him that I didn't have a license, so he had to keep it a secret. That's what that thing referred to in Ota's Nile messages, by the way.
Okay.
And just like that, I managed to escape a bad situation and headed to Sunfish Pocket as planned.
This person is really, really devious. And, I mean, one of my favorite characters is the Mastermind. I love a Mastermind done right. The idea that you have this brilliant genius strategizing against the protagonist, and it doesn't matter how strong or good the protagonist is, if you have a really good mastermind, they can be incredibly weak and outthink the hero.
The rest went exactly as you already figured out.
All the dots. Day 3, Sunday.
Sunday morning, I had a recording or some such thing scheduled. Oh, I am of course referring to Iris. I didn't want to draw suspicion, so I decided to attend as planned. I went to Lemniscate and performed my job. And when I left, I ran into you, Date. To be honest, I was a little surprised. Just the previous night, I was a parasite in the body of Renju. I didn't think Ota had seen me. So, of course, I didn't expect to see you there so soon. You were on to me, but there was nothing I could do about that. If I ran, it would only increase your suspicion. So I decided to play my role. The interrogation began around 8:20 p.m., is that right? Then you synced into my mind.
All the dots. And there's that grim-faced dots.
But you didn't get what you were looking for, did you?
No, we just got more confused.
As a result, you had no choice but to release me. I didn't want to go home right away. I knew there might be police waiting for me. That would make it difficult to sneak out at night. And that would put my plan in jeopardy. So I asked you to take me to Marble. I tried to find an opportunity to run, but then another unexpected event occurred. I got a Nile message from Ota. I knew I could use him. So I told him I needed his help and to meet me at Marble. He did as I instructed him to do. After that, I got into the van with Ota. But because his presence was unnecessary, I asked him to stop at a convenience store to buy me something to drink. When he was gone, I took his car and drove to my parents' house where I used to live. Yes, the Sejima residence. Of course, I knew I couldn't just walk up and ring the doorbell, Hello, Father, it's been a long time. I was also in Iris's body at the time.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
But I thought I could use that to my advantage. So I pushed on the intercom and sure enough, my dad invited me inside. I told him this: I want you to come with me. There's something I need to show you.
And then you killed him and took over his body.
He was quiet for a while, but eventually agreed and got into the van with me.
It's kind of weird. The son becomes the father, literally speaking. It's a little bit creepy. Okay, I'm wrong. That's a lot of it creepy.
We arrived at the prototype sync machine around 11:50 p.m. By the time I was in the body of Sosajima, it was a new day.
Continue at day 4. I want to continue.
This was yesterday, early Monday morning, past midnight. In my new body, I drugged Iris, put her in the van, and drove to a new location, Okiura Fishery Cold Storage Warehouse. I arrived around 1, then prepared for the show for a couple hours. Of course, when I say show, I mean dismembering Iris.
You're an evil whatever you are.
Because of the temperature in the warehouse, it took longer than I expected to prepare, but... well, you saw it in the video.
Oh, God.
Of course, I didn't anticipate Ota would show up. What does that make it? 3 times that brat has showed up unexpectedly? That annoyed me to no end, and I took that out on him. Dressing him up in the polar bear was an impromptu plan on my part. I didn't mean to make you think he was the killer. I just wanted to throw a wrench into the investigation. Didn't matter if you found out or not. This all happened Monday morning. I left the warehouse around 3:30 a.m.
Day 4? Monday?
There isn't much to talk about on Monday. Before noon, I used my old man's body to call this one Boss. You might not know this, but she and my father go back about 6 years.
There's that 6 years again.
The two shared a terrible secret.
What was it?
Hinting at that was enough to get the boss to come running to me immediately. I injected her with a sedative, then brought her body to the chemical plant. I synced with her, exchanged our bodies, and after blowing my father's brains out, I cut his body into pieces.
Man.
I stuffed the meat into a vase I'd brought earlier, then drove back to my house.
I think it was, yeah, our Bondu commented saying, man, this game got a lot dark real fast. Yeah, it did, didn't it? Well, I mean, it kind of was always a bit dark. But with such a devilish mastermind like this, it may have gone even more dark than we originally expected. I mean, for a game called the Somnium Files. Did I call it AI again in the intro? I don't remember. The Somnium Files. The word for love. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Continue. Saito spoke with grace and no sign of remorse. I was trying to keep my anger from boiling over and kept asking him questions. Boss's eyes still look clouded over. Why didn't the sync victims resist after waking? Why did you take out your victim's eyes? Why did you display the bodies the way you did? Okay, left is always right. Resistance.
The prototype sync machine has a special feature. It administers a strong dose of sedatives to the original body, and a stimulant to the host after a sync.
Well, that's convenient.
That kept them docile.
Why'd you take out the victim's eyes? And this is what I think we actually know now.
You know all about the prototype sync machine, don't you? That should explain it.
I knew. The prototype sync machine differed from the one at Abyss in a few key ways. The machine at Abyss is more sophisticated. Nano cables from the sync's gear enter through the gap between the eyeball and socket. They then travel down the optic nerve canal to the brain. But the prototype sync machine isn't so advanced. To perform a sync, You need to remove the left eye manually. The subject in the secret had to remove the eye from the socket. Otherwise, the cables cannot enter the brain. Of course, even with the eye removed, severing the connection to the brain isn't necessary. The extracted eyeball still has the optic nerve and blood vessels connected. After a sync, the eye is supposed to be replaced back in the socket. It's supposed to be safe. Side effects are rare. Unless the nerve or blood vessels are damaged somehow, replacing the eyeball isn't too difficult. Okay, so yeah, if there was any doubt in my mind now after saying the bird has finally seen the light earlier in the episode, I think that basically is conclusive. There is no body transfer that happens because the eyes get swapped. That's not a thing. I mean, because the eye gets removed. Let's continue this.
Of course, I don't really care about eyes.
Because she didn't just take out the eye and then sync and put the eye back. She took out the eye and then just took out the eye.
I don't need them. All I cared about was exchanging bodies with the sync. And for that, I needed to remove the left eye.
Why didn't you just put the eyes back when you were done?
That's obvious. Once I was finished transferring into a new body, the old one was of no concern to me.
Yeah, but by doing that, it left a trail. Maybe not so smart after all.
Why would I bother replacing the eye? I was just going to get rid of it anyway.
Where are the eyeballs that you removed?
Shoko's is in Renju.
What?
Renju's is an iris.
Wait, what?
Iris's is in Dad. Dad's is in Boss.
That is weird.
Their stomachs, I mean.
Oh! I did not need to know that.
You sick bastard.
Yes, I ate them.
Oh!
Immediately after exchanging personalities.
How horrible.
How sick. I'll get to the motive in a second because that's a question I really want to ask. Why'd you display the bodies the way you did?
To harass you. I wanted to bring out the hatred in you.
Why?
That's why I called Mizuki to Bloom Park.
What's the point?
That's why I streamed Iris's murder.
We definitely have a history, that is for sure.
Because they were important to you, weren't they? I wanted you to feel cornered, trapped. I wanted to punish you, Kaname Date.
What's your motive?
Homicide is my hobby. I have a tenacity for it, what can I say? Of course, it was also necessary to make sure people kept their mouths shut. If I took over someone's body, they would know about my crimes. I couldn't risk them reporting me, so I killed them.
All the dots.
It was also a matter of revenge. Against you.
Why? What happened 6 years ago?
It's personal. That's why I chose people close to you as targets.
Thank you for not choosing Mizuki, at least.
Well, except for my father, of course. That was personal to me, but don't ask. It's embarrassing.
Boss's eyes still seem clouded over. Revenge against me?
This series of murders was like a journey for me. You know, traveling through bodies to finally reach the end. That's the thing about traveling. You always wind up in the same place, don't you? Where do you think that is?
All the dots.
Your home. A trip is only complete once you return home. The same goes for me. When I return home, my travels will come to an end.
Yeah, so my original theory that Saito and I switched places, I think that's still true. Our body was originally Saito's body. That's why the old man, that's why Sosajima calls a son Because we are the physical form of sight. How would no one notice that though? All the dots.
So I'll be needing it back. My body.
What?
You stole my body. You took it from me 6 years ago. That's why I want revenge.
What are you talking about?
You have no idea what it was like inside my own head. I miss it. I miss my brain, Date. No matter how many people I killed, it never worked. I never felt happy. I feel miserable.
You mean?
He was born with a brain dysfunction. Due to damage to the posterior pituitary gland, he was unable to properly secrete oxytocin.
Oh, that's right. My old body. How are you finding it, Date?
I don't remember that. All the dots. All the... Due to damage to the posterior pituitary gland, it was unable to properly secrete oxytocin. Could that be the dosages that Iba keeps saying throughout the game? That we need certain doses for because we don't have because we have a brain dysfunction? Boss eyes still look cloud over. This body is yours?
That's what I've been telling you!
Okay, calm down.
But I don't have the same oxytocin deficiency you did.
That is because I regularly supplement it.
It was. Aha, so we finally got an answer to stuff. That wasn't just a random thing that they said in the game. There was a purpose for it. Clever, clever, clever.
They must have increased your dosage too much.
Uh-huh.
No, but the person who had this disorder was number 89, the original Cyclops killer.
That is what I believed as well, but we must have misunderstood. Pewter did not specify who exactly was imprisoned, only that one of the original culprits responsible was currently in prison.
That's strange. That would mean number 89 is the previous chairman, Rohan.
What?
That must be it.
Wait, what? Only that one of the original culprits responsible is currently in prison. That means number 89 is Rohan. So did 89 switch places with Rohan?
Rohan is a parasite inside number 89's brain.
Huh.
Pewter must have known that.
No way.
I was confused. Yeah, I love it when the protagonists are on the same page. I didn't understand any of it.
Let us determine the specifics using Saito as our starting point.
Okay.
Whose brain was he in before Boss?
So Sejima.
And before So?
I had that all written down. Before So, it was Iris.
Iris. And before that,
Renju. And then Shoko.
And before that, Shoko.
And before Shoko?
Whose boss were you in before Shoko?
I was a parasite inside Rohan's brain 6 years ago until last year.
Until he died.
I'd lost most of my memories. I was a shell of a man. They housed me in a special hospital, but I still had those fragments of my mind left, just as I explained earlier. From a single piece, you can recreate the whole. I took my time, slowly regaining my memories. 1 year ago, I remembered everything. I left the hospital and immediately sought out Shoko Nadami. I got her body, and she was in Rohan's. When she saw herself in the mirror, she lost her mind.
Yeah, that's a thing that could happen.
She was confused, panicking, running up the emergency staircase, and then...
That's why Rohan committed suicide.
All the dots.
After that, I spent a year perfecting my plan, using Shoko's body. I spied on you all this time. That's why I know everything about you.
But what didn't they just say though that Rohan is a parasite in number 89's brain? But how could that happen when Rohan was switched? How does that work? That kind of lost me there, but I know I'm a little bit confused. Don't worry, we'll figure this out. Who were you before Rohan?
In there, in that body you are operating right now, in that skull, my personality lived there.
Wait, hold on. If what you're saying is true, what about my personality?
It was in Rohan.
My personality was in Rohan?
I'm not Rohan!
Correct. It is just as he explained earlier. Number 89 was in Rohan's body. In other words...
That's... I real?
All the dots. So we're Falco. Or was Falco. All the dots. Looks like our memories are starting to seep back. Meaning Hitomi. Maybe that's why we had a thing for Hitomi, because of what happened. Keep talking.
Sorry, but time's up. I want my body back.
You can't have it. Yeah, all the dots. That ain't happening.
It's quite simple. Sync with me and stay inside my mind for more than 6 minutes.
And if I refuse?
I know that you won't. I know it.
Huh?
Date, look! This is streaming live!
Wait, what? Oh! No!
Damn you!
If you give me back my body, I will give you the location. Oh, and of course, it isn't the chemical plant in the Kawasaki district.
Aiba, where's the source?
It is being routed through numerous IPs. I cannot identify the source.
Pewter, contact headquarters, now!
Got it!
Now, what will you do? Will you agree to my request?
Obey Saito? Smile and mocking vehicle is on her face. Let me go ahead and drop a save here. You know what I want to do? What I want to do is say yes, because to save Hitomi. But what am I gonna do first? I'm gonna do the opposite. I won't do it.
Dante, I'm hurt. Don't you care about what happens to her?
I still won't do it.
Do you understand the gravity of this situation? A bomb is strapped to her body.
I would still won't do it.
You're too stubborn. Or maybe you're just cold-hearted.
I know I really should do it and then come back here and then say I won't do it. But I'm already down this deep. But in all honesty, before you flame me in the comment section for being a heartless bird, I just said earlier that I will say I'll do it, but I want to see what happens if you say I won't do it first. So this is more of a theory, more of a, not really theory testing, but more let's just see what happens before we actually do it.
You want to see what will happen when her flesh burns and tears and scatters? If you aren't quick, you'll see the whole thing.
This is a lot like the Tommy date ending. You know, I didn't want to go out with the girl with the big proportions. But I did it because I want to see what happens.
You know I'm not bluffing, don't you?
I didn't agree, no matter how many times they demanded of me. I refused again and again. Pretty sure this will take us to a bad ending. Whoa! that's not cool. And when I saw it, I understood. Boss's body rolled into the corner of the room. I didn't want to think anymore. Anything. Nothing. I closed my eyes and ran my palm across my face. I could taste blood. Yep. Haha. Called it. I said this would take us to a bad end, and that's why I want to see it happen. Okay. It's cool. Cool. Sure, we'll save. Because my theory in my head was this is going to lead to a bad ending, and the ending's going to happen like really soon, and it should be over in like a couple minutes. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So now we can go for the other option. And is it this one or the other one? Probably this one. I gotta go through this all again. I could just reload, but I'm not going to. I'll spare you guys the repetition. I'll see you on the flip side. Okay, and just like that, we're back. Didn't take too long thanks to the handy dandy skip function. I'll do it.
Date!
See? I knew you wouldn't refuse. I know you well, don't I, Date?
Now the thing is, once we're boss, though, couldn't we like ruin all your plans? Because we'd be the boss. Police headquarters, Tuesday at 4:28 a.m. Iva, shut him down.
I did it. I'm back. I got it all back.
Hey, where's Hitomi?
All right, I'll tell you as promised. Boss's house. However, it might be too late by now.
What? Why?
Return my body and I'll tell you the location. That's what I said. I didn't lie. I kept my promise.
You bastard!
Yes, I agree.
You're the one who injured that body. It's your own fault, really.
Damn it.
I didn't even think about that.
Be seeing you.
Iva, I love you. You rock.
Date, are you alright?
Iva's voice barely resonated. My eyesight was hazy, a heap of broken images. Sweat was building on my palms. It felt like my throat was closing up and I was struggling for breath. In my ears, the rushing blood of my heartbeat was the only sound.
Everyone's dead.
Shoko, Renju, Iris, Ota, Hitomi, Boss. The flesh remains. The mind is lost.
I couldn't do anything. Saito had me right where he wanted me. Nothing. Nothing.
Parallel worlds exist.
The words suddenly echoed in my head. I couldn't remember who, or where, or why. But I thought that if there really was such a world, then me, in that world, I is another.
Could I have had a better future?
I prayed that I could. I felt my consciousness sink into a black abyss. Alright, my friends. You know what that means? Do you feel it? That means we are one step closer to the end where just maybe we can have a happy ending in another parallel world. Ooh, I'm excited. This is great. I was talking about Bondu and we're like, man, I really hope we can get a happy ending on the other side. Annihilation route end. Extra scene? No? Guess no extra scene for this FlightlessBird. That's kind of sad. That lock better open, I swear. If that lock doesn't open, I may throw something. Ha ha ha. Unlocked. Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at this, my friends. The entire flowchart has basically been completed, except for one thing. In Boss's Somnium, Date witnessed the new Cyclops serial killing, a bizarre, twisted cycle in which the killer became the next victim. The person in Boss's mind was So-Sun Saito. He was the new Cyclops killer. Date also discovered that the body originally belonged to Saito. Saito demanded his body back using a bomb strapped to Hitomi as leverage. The body exchange occurred, and Saito, back in his original body, detonated the bomb on Hitomi, while Date and Boss watched helplessly. Date's consciousness allowed him a few words before vanishing completely. Join me next time, my friends, on the Somnium Files as maybe, just maybe, we find a happier end. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I'll leave you all greatly, and until next time, so long, and take care. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to comment on what you saw and what you would like to see next. I always love to hear your thoughts. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more. Also, please do not forget, you matter, you are brilliant, and you are loved. And you should always remember to be true to yourself. Don't let the world tell you any different. Much love to you from your friendly feathered flightless bird. Till next time.